I think particularly in Australia, particularly for the last year, we've seen a change in the environment. And the title of this conference, Shifting Sands, is really apt for us because we've seen so many changes. And I think one of the most important things that we've seen is we need to collaborate. We need to collaborate not only nationally but also internationally with our law enforcement partners, our security agencies around the world to make sure that we are in the best position to be able to prevent terrorism, and if we can't prevent it, that we're prepared and we're able to respond.
How would you define the complexity of really dealing with this threat of terrorism as opposed to the other fields of crime that the police deals with?
Well, that's a really important point because terrorism is crime. So we've got to keep that always in our minds. We have to deal with this as a crime. And within that, though, there are different motivations. So the usual sort of motivation that we might see in a crime or the usual risk factors that we might see that cause crime are different. So we're dealing with people who have a violent extremist ideology, and where that comes from and the root causes of that is so complicated, and I don't think anybody's really got a handle on all of that. We're all dealing with it in the ways that we have to, but I think that that's one area where we could probably collaborate better. And
it always comes to the political correct questions or the questions of freedom of speech and not to act against specific crowds. You also, of course, also deal with that when we're talking, of course, with the radical Islam.
Look, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that we highlight and we want to preserve is that freedom of speech. There's no doubt about that. And when we're talking about radicalisation and the move to violent extremism, we're really only talking about a fringe of a fringe of a fringe of a fringe, a really small group of people. But that small group of people, we really need to either bring them back from being radical, or if they have an intent and a capability and they wish to do an attack and we can prove it, we have to put them before the courts.
So cooperation with Israel, we're talking about just getting advice, or more than that?
Well, at this conference, this is great because we've had people from the IDC come to Australia particularly and come to New South Wales and give us lectures in a whole range of areas. So it's nice to come back here, well, for me to come here and I guess really enhance those relationships because, yes, as I say, we can't do this alone.